I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Well, folks, we've already started the interview. We're joining in progress. Magick is here.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I'm Magick Stardust. I am a Fey Demon VTuber. My puppeteer is turning 29 this year, but I am an immortal Fey to all of you.
Yes. And now back to our regular programming. Now, what we were talking about...
So I was actually talking about how I initially got started in computers and how that led me to VTubing.
Yeah.
So my grandma started me out on computers when I was like 5 or 6 years old. She set up one of her old ones in our formal living room, actually, so that because I was too short for the desks.
Oh, yeah.
So she set it up on the coffee table next to the couch.
Oh no.
So that I had a setup that was like height correct for my size, so that I wasn't like breaking my back. My grandma made it as ergonomic as possible and didn't care that she was messing up the formal living room. She's like, hey, anything for the kids.
Oh, well, hey.
So she sets that up and starts me on Mavis Beacon Teaches Typing and Clue Finders and Reader Rabbit and just all of the ye old learning games from when computers first started coming out.
Yes.
I started on Windows 95, very quickly got updated to Windows 98.
Yeah.
And we skipped Windows Millennium Edition because we don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah. Well, what about Vista?
So I lost my grandma at 10.
Uh-huh.
And she was the IT person, and I kind of became the de facto tech person, even though I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
So the computer that I was using stopped booting, and I could not figure out why it was no longer booting.
Right.
And so this is before you can just Google it.
Yeah,
this is before
you couldn't...
the implement of YouTube University.
Yeah, and you couldn't Google it anyway because your computer was down.
Exactly. Well, we had multiple computers that had an internet connection. I could have, if it had existed, I had extra technology that I could have used to find it, but it just didn't exist yet. Not in the form that we know it today.
Yeah.
You didn't have Zach's Tech Tips and Salem Techsperts and Meta PCs throwing PC building tips and tricks at you ad nauseum in your YouTube shorts, which I love it. It's great. I'm about to do my first full brand new PC build here soon.
Cool.
And this story led me to where I am today. So it's not booting, and the only thing I have at my disposal, without going to the library or leaving the house or taking it to an expert, is a set of Encyclopedia Britannica. So I first start with the encyclopedia for the letter C, and I look up computer, and then I begin cross-referencing all of the parts and troubleshooting this computer with an encyclopedia as my only guide. And I eventually did figure out that this sounds like it's a problem with post, and oftentimes that is a RAM issue. And my grandma was a bit of a hoarder. She was prepared for every eventuality because she grew up in the Depression, so she never got rid of anything.
Right.
Or if she found it on a really good sale, she grabbed it, even if she didn't need it right now.
Yeah.
Because if you can get it for that cheap, you're gonna need it eventually.
Exactly. It's gonna come up.
So I went downstairs and I'm pawing through boxes of just random tech in static proof bags, and I do eventually find some RAM, and it is the correct DDR type. So I go upstairs, I unplug everything, I pop out the RAM, I pop in the new RAM stick, I plug everything back in, and what do you know? Wham bam, thank you, ma'am, it boots. And
Oh.
I am like, I am the greatest technician that's ever lived.
You get that
At
mad
10 years old.
that mad scientist saying, "Move."
It lives. And that got me started into computers,
Yeah.
and I became obsessed
Mm.
with learning how everything worked. And this is before graphics cards were a thing.
Oh yeah.
Sound cards were, but graphics cards really weren't a thing yet. It was
No.
all integrated on CPUs.
Yeah.
You didn't have your NVIDIA hadn't started making individual cards, at least not for consumer level.
Right.
And then I kind of fell out of it because I fell into consoles as a teenager.
Right.
But then I became an adult and I got out of a really abusive marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my first apartment after that.
Mm.
And for my birthday, because I was making so much at the call center, because I was making like $1,500 to $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
With commissions.
Was that indoor?
I decided.
Was it in calls in or calls out?
Everybody was calling in. I was selling cable TV and internet.
Ah, there you go. Yeah. So I probably talked to you a few times and yelled at you. Sorry about that.
Actually, you probably didn't yell at me because I never actually had any customers yell at me because I knew how to talk to them and how to calm them down.
Yeah.
I actually had to deal with the snowstorms that Texas got a couple of years ago.
Yes.
I was working there during that, and the number of times I had to explain to people that just because you have a generator and just because your house has power, that does not mean that the node that we own that sends a signal to your magic box has power. And until your city has power restored, we're not going to be able to do anything to try to fix any of the damage because we can't even tell where the damage is.
Well, couldn't you just come out and take a look? I mean, it can't hurt to take a look, right?
Well, thankfully, the way I explained it, everybody went, oh.
Yeah.
And just kind of realized how stupid of a request that was. And they went, oh.
Yes.
I guess I'll wait until power is back up.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. I'm like, yeah, once power is restored to your area, we will have technicians and crews out there fixing any damage as soon as we can. We just don't know where the damage is until we have power.
Yeah, I can assure you that you just made them madder. They couldn't do anything to you, so when they hung up the phone, they just yelled at whatever's nearby.
Well, I made sure they couldn't get mad at me because I didn't want to get yelled at.
Yeah. If you can break that down right away and disarm people, it is so useful.
It very much is. And I've taken that and I use that in streaming too, because sometimes you get people in your chat that are like mad and just angry for no reason. And it's like, you can either chill because this is just a stream and we're here to have fun.
Yeah. And
you can stick around, or you can get forcibly removed by my mod team that wants a snack.
Yeah.
Take your pick. My mod team is just, they see a bot and they're like, mod snack, and they fight over who can get to the ban button the fastest.
This is the
I have sharks.
This is the equivalent of the shark moat.
Yes, I have sharks for mods.
It's like the
it's insane.
Like the spy movies with the pool full of piranhas that they throw people into.
Very much so. It's like I'm holding them by their foot and looking at them like, you can either chill out and I can put you down safely on ground.
Yes.
Or you cannot chill out, or I can throw you to the moderators.
That's right.
Say hi, moderators.
Three-headed dogs yowling at the same
So I fell into the consoles as a teenager, and then I got my computer when I was like, oh, that was almost 5 years ago now?
Yeah.
4 years ago, because it was 2021.
Yeah.
I got my computer as a birthday present to myself, but it was during the scalper market, so I couldn't get anything good.
Oh.
I managed to find a pre-build, but it didn't have the best parts. But it was workable, and I could get it, and I could afford it.
Yes.
So my computer's name is Sasha, and she's named after the heavies gun from TF2.
Right.
And I named her that because she, when I got her, she was big, made of black metal.
Yep.
And to me, she was a bit of a powerhouse compared to the computers that I had grown up with. So I immediately went on Facebook Marketplace and found a graphics card to slap in this, because the original graphics card that was in this build was a GT 710.
Okay.
It didn't even need a power supply cord.
Oh.
It just pulled power directly from the PCIe. Hang on, let me see.
So what you're saying is this was the dollar store variety. And you buy it at the Dollar Tree or something and stick it in the computer.
Yeah, the NVIDIA GeForce 710 was released on March 27th, 2020 or 2014. So by the time I got it, it was already pushing a decade old. I could play like Minecraft on very basic settings, but that was like it. It didn't do much.
Yes.
So I got a 1650 Super. I slapped that in, but because of the fact I had never dealt with graphics cards before, I did not realize that I needed to plug power into it, because the old one just drew power directly from the PCIe slot.
Right.
It didn't need an external power supply cable or anything.
Right.
And so I'm trying to get it to turn on, and it will not. I'm not getting anything. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So I called a local computer shop. Like, I only worked on old computers and I'm very lost. Can I just get some guidance here? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, okay, so I installed this new graphics card, and it will not, everything's booting up fine, but I'm not getting any visuals.
Right.
And they're like, did you plug it in? Like, and I'm like, yeah, it's in the motherboard. No, did you plug in power? And I'm like, at the risk of sounding stupid, graphics cards need power.
Yeah.
I started when I started messing with computers, they didn't have that, and
Right.
I had so long between my time that I was elbow deep in computer guts every week to now I actually own my own computer.
Yeah.
That so much had happened I didn't know.
Right.
And that started the story of, if you don't know, you learn.
you just throw yourself into the fire and see how it comes out.
Exactly. I threw myself into it head first, and I'm like, I'm either gonna sink or I'm gonna learn how to swim.
Yeah.
And I learned how to swim.
Yeah.
I found the cables, I plugged it in, it worked fine. And then I've upgraded my specific computer a few times. I've upgraded the RAM. It originally came with 8 gigabytes. It's now got 32.
Mm-hmm.
It originally came with a Ryzen 3 3100 CPU. I upgraded that to a Ryzen 7 3700X.
Okay.
Because that's the best CPU that the motherboard in this computer can handle. And then I upgraded originally to a GTX 1650 Super graphics card, and eventually went and upgraded that further to an RTX 2060 series.
So you
and that's what I'm currently running.
You have mastered the techniques and the tech of the techniques.
Yes, and now I have parts that my community funded because they love me, apparently. And I'm actually going to be building a full AM5 build here this week.
Ooh.
So folks, I'm upgrading from the Ryzen 7 3700X to a Ryzen 5 9600X. So that's going to be quite the jump in performance.
Yes.
I originally wanted a 3080, but very quickly realized that that was going to take way too long. So I settled for a 3060 OC 12 gigabyte. It's double the VRAM of my current graphics card.
Oh.
So even though it's not the best, it's going to be at least double the speed that my old one could run.
Well, that makes a big difference in some of these games. It really does.
And I initially got 32 gigabytes of RAM for this build too.
Yeah.
But I put everything I put on the list through Throne was through Amazon. And the RAM got ordered and it was shipped, and then it said delivered, and I'm like, delivered where? It's not here.
Yeah.
It's not in my mailbox. It's not on my porch. There's nothing on the camera showing anybody like fake delivered or tried to deliver.
Right.
There's nothing in the mailbox, nothing.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, where is it? So I sent a lost item request. Eventually, I got refunded by Throne and just reordered the same RAM.
Right.
And then the day that the new order gets delivered, both get delivered.
Yes. That has happened
So,
before here too.
I guess I'm gonna have 64 gigabytes of DDR5 in this build.
Well, if you have it, you might
But
as well
that's
use
gonna,
it.
yeah. But I got big into computer building and stuff because my grandma started me at a young age.
That's
And then
cool.
that led to me learning Vroid Studio
Mm.
and learning how to make my own models.
Yeah.
I currently have about 5 that I use. But I have made, I think, somewhere around 10 to 15 since I started.
Wow.
Because of the fact my VTuber is a Fey demon,
Yeah.
and based on lore, the only power they were left with when they were sent to the human world was their glamour magic.
Yes.
And so I have the ability to allow my ADHD to flow through my VTuber. If I get the hankering to make a new outfit, I have literally been known to throw together a new model and throw it through Unity like 30 minutes before stream because I was bored.
Yes. Oh, this is perfect. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Go right on stream.
And I just pop up. I've never done like a true honest debut, and I'm saving that for my 2.0 release
Yeah.
because that's when I'm going to release even more lore, more story, and I also want to learn how to animate. So my future lore drops have songs associated with them.
Oh, okay.
And eventually, I'm basically going to learn how to make AMVs. But instead of with anime, I'm going to be using animations I make of my own model.
I feel so insignificant.
Don't, because I'm the crazy one though.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at me like, you're doing all of this yourself?
Yeah, but that's the amazing part of it. I mean, really, it's you just basically grabbed it by the throat and took it over and made it yours, and that's really awesome. I mean, that says a lot about you. And
Yeah, grab the Fey demon by the horns.
yes, or whatever they're sprouting at this particular point in time. Just grab and go. But see, I started with a Commodore 64.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
We had one of those.
Yeah, and
I never really used it.
I can tell you this, for its time, it was amazing. It really was. And I was programming in the old Apple language for it. And I had a particular program that was all text because first of all, there wasn't that many graphics to start with. Second of all, I couldn't figure it out. So when printing it out on the old dot matrix, it took almost an inch of paper. And I was working on it every day. I was data point this, finding little bits of places that I could stick extra routines in.
Don't even get me started on me learning to code.
Yeah.
Do you remember MySpace?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you remember MySpace,
Yep.
but have you ever heard of Vampire Freaks?
No.
So, I was an angsty emo teenager. I learned to code not on MySpace, but on Vampire Freaks. It has been shut down since. It used to be a forum-based, very similar to MySpace kind of community.
Yeah.
Where you had your profile and then everybody typed on forums or on each other's walls.
Yeah.
And very similar to MySpace, it allowed for HTML and eventually CSS personalization of your profile.
Okay.
I learned how to code because I wanted to make my Vampire Freaks page pretty.
Cool.
And I learned how to code in the I learned how to code in the school computer lab.
Mm-hmm.
because I knew the trick of removing the S in HTTPS
Yeah.
to get around the school's security blockade.
Oh,
Back in the day, it was very easy to circumvent school
yes.
security and blockades
Yes,
of certain websites.
because there was always one person in the school teachers who thought they knew everything about computers, but really didn't take any courses or anything and just read something.
The IT person at my school was not the smartest, but that was
Yes.
okay, because
Yeah.
that left me backdoors to be able to still listen to Tool on YouTube
That's
and go to
right.
Vampire Freaks and learn how to code.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
That's right.
and that led into me I'm certified in UX UI.
Well, I don't even know what that is.
UX UI is user experience, user interface. It's the teams that are the first step of any new app or website or any major updates. So if a app you love is planning on adding a new feature, it's going to start within the UX UI team.
Cool.
We do interviews, we create user profiles, we figure out who our user is, who the customer is, who are we making this for, and then we go through and we do interviews of, you already use software like this or a program like this, or you already use this program.
Yeah.
Would this feature be something that you would use? How this feature is currently laid out to be, would this be something you would find useful?
Right.
Oftentimes those interviews also include like a live demo of a prototype that we allow the user to try to figure their way through.
Right.
To see if the user pathing is intuitive. Can they figure it out within 2 to 5 minutes?
Yeah, without having to call support and get frustrated and throw things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works smoothly and the user is able to get through everything perfectly. And you find that over 10, 15, 20 interviews, everybody was able to get through it within 1 to 5 minutes.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
That means it's intuitive. So we can take this, move it to high fidelity, and then send it to the front and back end devs so that they can deal with implementing it.
There you go.
Once we have figured out how it's going to look and how it's going to function, and that the user base is going to like how that functions and how that works, we just send it off to front and back end dev, and then they can have caffeine-fueled sleepless nights figuring out how to implement it into spaghetti code. That's not my problem.
Well, what happens if you find somebody who's a smart aleck that you're trying to show off to, and they figure out that if you hit the H button, it all turns into bikini pictures?
So we actually like those interviews. We like those product testers.
Yeah.
Like, please find the thing that breaks my idea. Please find the problems, because a lot of times we're so closely married to what we're doing.
Right.
We don't see the issues.
Yeah.
We aren't looking at the flaws. We're looking at, look at this, I made this.
Yeah. And the other way around.
So having those people.
Yeah, you're actually looking at the forest and not the trees.
Yeah.
Man, the other way around.
And so it's nice having those people. I have a few friends that do a lot of beta testing, and it's nice finding those people that can break anything.
Yeah.
Because the more interesting of a way they find to break it, it just means that we need to find a more interesting way that it can't be broken.
There you go. There you go. You talking with you about this is amazing, because I can hear you smiling there the whole time, because it's obviously something you enjoy fiercely.
I love tech.
Yeah, and for someone, you hear people who have this type of bent, and there is a certain I would say idea about how they are, and it usually isn't bright, bubbly, super personality type that you are.
Oftentimes, I am bright and bubbly about it because I've not gotten to work in the industry.
Yeah.
I have not been battle hardened like a lot of people in tech have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I got my UX UI certification 3 weeks before the major tech layoffs that happened in 2023.
Oh.
So I graduated with my certificate. I was ready to enter the job market. I was ready to get a job in UX UI, and I focused on accessibility. So I was ready to help make websites and applications more accessible for the world. And I focused on that because my husband is colorblind and dyslexic, and accessibility is a big thing in our house.
Oh, yeah.
It makes or breaks whether or not they can play a game or use a website.
Absolutely.
So I came into UX UI wanting to make a difference in accessibility.
Yeah.
And so I'm putting my resume together, and I'm getting my portfolio polished, and I'm getting ready to start actually applying to jobs. And like the night before I have everything finished, I get the news on my phone that people across the tech sector are getting emails like you're laid off. And I'm just like, oh no.
Yes.
2 to 4 days after these layoffs, we start hearing more about AI entering my field.
Yes.
And it went from teams of 5 to 20 and having like 2 to 5 of those teams working in cycles on new projects and figuring things out. And it went from that to teams of 1 to 5 that are cleaning up what AI outputs.
Yep, exactly.
So you have a combination of AI taking the field over, combined with now there is hundreds of people that are far more experienced than any of us that are coming out of this program, with much more tenure and much more experience, and they're ready to go into any job opening, and they're digging for any job opening they can find. They don't care if it's entry level, they don't care if it's on par with their skills. They just need a job. And that means that little old me, who just graduated and has zero experience practically in the field, is left behind. And so I saw this happening, and I already was an affiliate on Twitch at this point.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess it's time for my Markiplier moment. Where I've gone to school, I've gotten my degree, I have my certification, I have my piece of paper, but the job market sucks. Screw this. I'm going to be a content creator.
Yep.
And at the time, I wasn't faceless. I was not a VTuber when I started all of this. I used to be a face cam streamer.
Yeah. Thank you for not using the term flesh tuber.
Yeah, I like flesh tuber. I think it's funny.
It just makes my skin crawl.
And being on camera makes my skin crawl.
Yeah. Well, being on camera makes the camera crawl. So there you go.
So I went to being a full-time streamer, and I did my first subathon that lasted for 7 days. And then after that, it was really successful, and then I went and dog sat, because that was the reason I had to keep it in a week, because I had a dog sitting gig I had to go to. And so I get back from that, and one of my friends is like, "Have you ever heard of Vroid Studio?" Because I was complaining about having to take an hour before stream, or the first 45 minutes of stream, and doing my makeup.
Right.
I didn't like the fact that I needed to take an hour plus to put myself together to feel comfortable behind the camera.
Yeah, and then on the background behind you too, and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, thankfully, my setup at the time, I just had a wall behind me, and the entire back view of the camera was just my trans pride flag.
Well,
so
I mean,
that was my backdrop.
Yeah. So you had a studio, basically.
No, this was the corner of my basement bedroom.
Yep. Which those of us who don't have a whole lot of money, would call that a studio.
I would call what I have now comfortably my studio.
Yes.
It's a walk-in closet, but it does have a window, so I have an AC unit that blows into my computer during the summer and keeps me and my parts cool. And so I have a good amount of space in here, and it's not terrible for the acoustics. It could be better, but it's not terrible.
Yeah, no, there's always little things you can do with acoustics that like
oh yeah,
and it doesn't cost a lot either. You don't have to buy the super dense stuff over just put up some carpeting somewhere. It'll work.
Oh yeah,
it'll work.
But so my friend introduced me to V-Roid Studio, and I'm kind of like, oh well, what's this? And I had just recently gotten art done for a channel mascot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what if I took that and translated it into V-Roid and made it my VTuber? And I did. And I will send you pictures of like the original design and everything too.
Oh yeah, I want to see.
But my first model was not the best. It was very much the basic VTuber and hoodie.
Well, you gotta start somewhere.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
The horns were the hardest part because I don't know how much you know about V-Roid models, but if you have accessories, they're probably made of hair.
Yes.
So horns are made of hair, bows are made of hair clips are made of hair, earrings are made of hair. It's all hair. Everything's hair. If your Oshi has a 3D model or is primarily a 3D VTuber and they have any kind of accessories, just know that those are made out of hair and they take so much time.
Oh no.
So I had somebody help me with the initial design of like the horn shape.
Yeah.
And then I went in and textured that myself.
Oh.
Now I am not a V seamstress. I do not know how to design V-Roid clothes.
Yeah.
All of my outfits that I get, they're off of Booth. You can find them easily.
Yeah, but that's just a matter of time. I mean, it seems like to me you just set your sights on something and keep going until you learn it.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I have recently upgraded my setup to include a Huion Canvas 13, as well as Clip Studio Paint 4.0. So I am learning a lot of things. I was never a traditional artist because I hated how final strokes of a brush were.
Yeah.
And I have ADHD, I have autism, I am neurodivergent to the max. And so my brain just could not process not being able to take something back, not being able to have an undo button. Because I was a computer person. Right. Control Z was my lifeline.
Yes.
So it got introduced to digital art about a year or two before I became a VTuber, and I got introduced to it on Procreate.
Okay.
And I just started fiddling around, and I drew some planets, and I was like, okay, digital art I can do, because nothing is final.
Right.
I can undo. I can easily smudge things. I'm not getting my hands filthy dirty trying to smudge charcoal or pencil lead.
And then put fingerprints all over the rest of it.
Yeah. So digital art gave me the ability to make art accessible to me and my neurodivergence. And I think that is a beautiful thing. And I will behead anyone who tries to come after digital art for not being real art.
Yeah. It's digital art is not the problem. It's when you take the complete human out of the equation. And
yeah, and
that's
I remember difference. AI came at us so fast. It was one day we were mashing together a bunny and a hamster to see what weird unholy abominations we could create.
That's right.
Or mashing together different dog breeds to see what weird hybrids might look like. And it was just kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was a new thing, but it wasn't scary. It wasn't doing anything. And then very quickly something snapped, and it's no longer just silly, fun little games. Suddenly it's, oh, this could legitimately ruin the job market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it came out of left field so fast. And I know some people saw it coming. At first, I was like, oh, yeah, but I can tell. I can see the flaws. I can see the weirdness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
this isn't going to be able to take my job. I know what I'm doing. I know how this is supposed to look, and it's not supposed to look like that.
oh, yeah.
So I'm fine. This is they'll use it for concept art or whatever, and then
Mhm.
it just keeps getting better, and it becomes terrifying.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if you use AI, I'm probably going to block you, because AI literally is part of the reason why I can't get a job
Yeah.
with the degree that I got.
Never underestimate a corporation's want to cut personnel. And
yeah, no, that's a very valid statement.
yeah, and 'cause it happened in radio. It happened in radio, and it happened with first time was automation, which is a strange parallel. But when automation came in, it's like, oh great, we can have the station run by itself, and we didn't need to put in, have somebody on duty the whole time. It'd be 24 hours. And then it was, you know what? We got satellite programming too. We can just put those on, and we don't need any local announcers. Oh, okay. Which is why your local radio station now, up on the soapbox, is all nationally recorded shows with people sitting at home across the country recording lines, and you have no local announcers. and that's what will happen with art and things if you let it. It'll happen with voiceovers.
And I gotta say, I am very proud of my fellow artists for being willing to stand up, to speak out, and not just laying down
Right.
and taking it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I say this about you. You go on YouTube and you see one of those commercials with an AI announcer. He always talks a little bit funny, and pronunciation isn't quite the same. And it always starts off, my doctor couldn't believe it, or something like that. And you realize that you can hire a VA announcer to do a couple lines for a cheese sandwich. I mean, we don't cost that much. And if you're not willing to put that much out for your product must stink.
Very much so. And I know this that part from familial experience.
Yeah.
My soon to be brother-in-law is a voice actor.
Yeah. Yeah. I envy them too. I envy your entire group out there, I'm gonna send you a Christmas card with a frowny face on it.
I'm slowly pulling my entire family into VTubing. So my brother was a face cam streamer, and I made him a model, and now he's a VTuber.
Yeah.
and my husband was not a streamer, but then I made him a model, and now he's a VTuber.
Oh my god.
And I made my mom a model, and now we're trying to get her to set up a computer in the little office space and a hand cam so that she could crochet on stream.
Oh my
and
god.
she could be a VTuber.
Magic, you're something else. I mean, and I'm saying that in an extremely good way, because you're not only do you have all these talents and willing and wanting to share with people, but a magnetic personality that draws you in too, and you just, it's very easy in hearing you. First of all, you don't ever have a smile on your face when you're talking, which is great, and it just draws you in. It's like, I want to be a part of this too. You don't know how to do this. I don't care. I want to be a part of it. And that seems so fit for this medium. Yeah, it's like and I've said this before to some people. It's like it was waiting for you.
It very much felt like I was falling into place when I found VTubing.
Yeah.
It was like, yes, this makes sense. And a big reason why I started VTubing is on Twitch, when you're a faced cam streamer, there is such a disconnect between the personality of the person and the looks of the person.
Right.
If you don't fit a typical beauty standard, then you're typically looked over.
Mm-hmm.
for other streamers that do fit the traditional beauty standard.
Yeah, and they may be as
And
dumb as posts, but nobody cares.
yeah, they're pretty, and that's all that they care about. And it's like, well, I have a really cool personality, and people really like spending time with me. What if I just take looks out of the equation?
Mm-hmm.
I can make my VTuber model look however I want it to. It can fit any beauty standard that may come by.
Yeah.
I can easily change that. I can edit those pieces of me, and I don't have to feel pressured to change my actual IRL self to fit into that standard.
Well, you're creating...
And so it allows me to have a way for my personality to be the reason you want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you're creating your own world, basically.
Literally.
Yeah. And now, and how far you spread your wings in it is however far you made your world. You're in control of it. Which...
And I actually really do have a world in my lore.
Yeah.
So like the TLDR of my lore is I'm a Fey demon, and I was born in a Fey kingdom called Helmora, which is ran and lived in by the Estrada or Lust Fey.
Okay.
And my mom was Queen Rhodesia, and my father was Draglamore, who is the right hand of Asmodeus and the ambassador to the Feywilds for demons.
Okay.
And he was ambassador because my mother had come up with a treaty to stop abuse of the Estrada from the demons. They came up with a treaty and it ended it. The problem is that the Fey High Council hated demons and therefore hated our family.
Okay.
My mother for having him in her kingdom, me for being half demon, and my parents were assassinated on my 1000th birthday.
Oh, geez.
And so I very quickly have to figure out how to be queen. But as I am about to take the vows that bind me to my kingdom, the High Council comes out of the crowd and is like, gold chains wrap their way around me, and the High Council tells me that I am not fit to rule because of the fact I am half demon. They strip away all of my powers except for my glamour magic and drop me through a portal that leaves me in the human world. A place where I'm no longer connected to every living being via the magic that flows through the Feywilds. And so that's where I left my lore with my first lore drop. Is just, this is how magic got to the human world. And then I have plans for a 1.5, which is gonna be magic figuring out how to utilize the magic that is in the human world.
Right.
While it may be different than Feywild magic, it exists and can be harnessed. And learning how to use that to basically to tell off the Fey High Council. And then 2.0 is magic going, screw you. My kingdom, my throne, give me the crown. And I also have planned out to 3.0, and but I'll keep where that's going a little bit of a secret.
Oh my gosh, folks, we've just absolutely barely, as you could tell, barely started getting to know Magick here, and I want to get to know more, and I hope that Magick comes on again soon, please, because we have too much to talk about and too much. We had a half-hour interview before we started the interview.
Listen, I have ADHD and the gift of gab. I will yap on for hours if I'm allowed to. About nothing.
Oh, you would have been great in radio, and I'd have paid you absolutely nothing to do it.
Well, that's because you were paid absolutely nothing to do
You're
it,
right.
so you had nothing to give.
I pass on the savings on to you.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you so much for coming on. We got to do it again. We're going to have the links to everything that Magick's got going on up in the description for the video. And just absolutely wonderful talking with you and meeting you here. And I can't wait to see what more comes from you, because I don't know if I've talked to anybody who's been more creative in a fun way than you are. I want to hear what's going on. So we'll find out more from you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.